Still watching the Morning Breeze right here at the NBS Political Command Center. My name is Simon Kagwanjala with Mildred Tuhaise, bringing you up to speed on quite lots of things happening. Now, the labor industry in Uganda has been mired in quite some bit of trouble here and there. Remember the chilling stories that we used to bring out here just last year about migrant workers who were being tortured in places where they went to work. Now the story has since shifted to a new dimension. As we speak, the association, the umbrella body that brings together all labor exporters, has announced closure of business. This has thrown the industry into some bit of pandemonium. And as we speak, lots of views, lots of reactions are greeting this. But first, we want to speak to Enid Nambuya, the Executive Director of the now defunct Uganda Association of External Recruitment Agencies. Thank you for joining us, Enid. Good morning.
It's not defunct. Good morning, Simon. We are not defunct.
Yeah.
The association still exists.
So what has happened anyway?
Yes. It is the members who have temporarily suspended their operations.
What prompted the suspension?
It's an analogy of events. In March, we were invited to a meeting in the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, announcing closure of business due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and thereafter a press release was released. Last month, we received a letter asking us for our state of readiness, giving us SOPs to put into place. So we invited our members for a meeting, informed them about the SOPs, gave them about a fortnight to get ready, and we had a compliance team put in place which went around assisting members to get ready and to comply with the SOPs. So we reported back to the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development in response to that letter, telling them that yes, we are implementing the SOPs, and secondly, we had proof that our partners, especially in Saudi Arabia, were willing to receive our workers, as well as the conditions of the PCR. So we were dismayed to see a press statement saying that our business would remain closed as the ministry continues to study the situation, and that even if Ministry of Health gives us a go-ahead, it would not be permission to continue working. So in those circumstances where there are no timelines, the members felt they could no longer go ahead. Just like any other business, they were stressed. We have more than 4,000 Ugandan workers working in Uganda in those 200 companies. They could no longer pay them. They could no longer pay the 210 landlords. They could no longer achieve anything. They could no longer go ahead with any payments. Many of us have been dealing with landlords on a goodwill basis, but right now the landlords are tired. Our workers can no longer work on half pay or no pay like myself. So it has become quite a challenge. So they thought it's better to tell the ministry we can no longer go ahead. And in the most important space of monitoring, you cannot monitor without a phone, without an internet connectivity, without a human being at the end of the site. And we are supposed to continue monitoring virtually. It has become impossible. And that is why we handed back to the ministry to handle their people, because every Ugandan who is abroad is a Ugandan, needs to be looked after by the government of Uganda. Yes.
Did you ever weigh the impact this suspension would have on the labor industry in Uganda?
Yes, we did.
And well,
we realized that the government of Uganda listens to impact. We have been talking to them. We have been to Parliament. We've talked to the Economic Affairs Ministry. We've been to Ministry of Finance twice. We've been to URA. We've been to Uganda Development Bank. We've talked to everyone we think understands that we even need an economic stimulus and we were told our sector was not vital. Yeah. So under circumstances, what can we do?
Well, if you could break down for us how many jobs are at stake and what exactly you foresee happening now that you're out of the picture in the export industry.
The jobs at stake, for example, by March, we had 35,000 jobs that cannot be met because most of the people had already received their passports, travel documents, were unable to travel, and many of them are jobs that are paid for. If you are aware of the fair recruitment principles, you probably are aware of the employer pays principle as well, which is an ILO mandated issue. So all those jobs were actually already paid for. So if our people do not travel to work, then we have to pay back that money that had been paid in advance to secure those travel documents. So already we are in peril. Number two, for any other job that Uganda had secured, that one cannot be fulfilled either. And Uganda will become a pariah area for labor. When you come to the actual other expenses that young people have spent, it means if a young person has borrowed any money, whether it was 50K to travel to Kampala, to maybe 100K to travel to Kampala, maybe another 200 to do their medical, they are going to find other means of traveling. Especially the young men for whose jobs we don't have free jobs. They borrow money to be interviewed, to be considered. If they're unable to travel with us, they'll find other means. Last week we had an incident, 2 incidents at the airport. 31 young people were intercepted and another 44 were intercepted. People need jobs. Even as COVID hit Uganda, many jobs were lost in Uganda internally. We keep getting phone calls. We keep getting parents coming into the office saying, when are you opening again? My child lost a job. My child needs to travel. So if Uganda was to look critically at the entire jobs that were lost in Uganda, note, those very people will want to move. I am aware at least 2,000, 3,000 jobs were lost in the tourist industry. Many people are working on half pay. Other people are just waiting. So unless government wakes up to the entire issue of coronavirus on jobs and realize that there's a whole big group of persons that lost their jobs, then they will not understand why it is key for us to remain